All right, good morning, everyone. We might get started. Today, you're joining us for our What is University All About webinar. My name is Travis, and I'm an Access Project Officer here at Flinders University. And it's a pleasure to be speaking to you today about university, and it's sort of exposing what Flinders has to offer, but also just debunking a little bit about university, which is what we're going to cover in today's presentation. It should be roughly a 25-minute presentation, give or take. I do ask that you please turn your camera and microphone off if you haven't already. Um, and I do encourage you to ask any questions as we go. I may not answer them as the presentation unfolds, but I will hang around at the end and be more than happy to chat to you and offer any personal advice or answer any questions that you have at the very end. All of the information that I'll cover in today's webinar is related to domestic applicants. So if you are an international applicant, please contact us. Our details will be at the end and we can forward you on to our international team for some more specific advice. And if you have any issues with the quality of the webinar today, I encourage you to check out that WebEx link for any troubleshooting. All right, let's get started. So today's webinar, we're going to go through the following topics as we explore and unpack what university is all about. We'll start by addressing the differences between university and TAFE, then we'll look at what level of education may be required for various jobs. We'll briefly unpack how these different levels of qualifications may be required across jobs as well. Next, we'll unpack what university is as an entity in itself, what it looks like, and what to expect as a student if you were to pursue further study, including a look at the timetable and what it looks, and what opportunities are available outside of the classroom. And then we'll take some time to look at how you might go about finding out more about university, particularly here at Flinders, what we have to offer, and also what other resources you might want to look into if you have no idea what your next step might be and you want to do some exploring. Okay, so let's get started. Now, firstly, I just want to showcase university and TAFE as the two levels of higher education that most people will consider after school. And I'm just going to separate them a little bit by showcasing some of the differences. Now, often more hands-on and practical in the training that is offered, TAFE is where you generally go to learn a trade. Now, this is an image from Tonsley TAFE, which has amazing facilities, but depending on what you study, you could be at any one of their many campuses located all around the state. Now, TAFE is also a great place for practical further training in creative and expressive fields, like being a chef. You might look at technical fields like IT or personable professions like aged care or nursing. You can be an enrolled nurse by going through TAFE. Their courses are offered at various levels of qualification, ranging from certificate through to advanced diplomas, with the length of study varying from 6 months to a few years, depending on what level you choose to study. Now, the good news is that if you go through TAFE, that your qualifications can always be built on over time. But in reality, the same can be said about university. Now, on the flip side here, we have university, and unlike TAFE, university places a higher emphasis on academics and is generally seen as the next step from school, TAFE, or some life experience when you would like to expand your knowledge or to improve your skills to be competitive in the workforce. Now, you engage in a range of different classes at university, including tutorials, as shown here on the screen, where you will complete group work, discuss ideas, and expand on content, a bit like a school classroom, for those who may be at school at the moment. We also have practicals, where you get to apply the skills that you are learning in relation to your field. You may also have industry placements, where you spend time out in the field using your knowledge and expertise in the industry that you're training to work in. And you'll also attend lectures, which are a bit different from what young people may be used to at school and also in the broader community. And these are where you sit in a large theatre listening to academic experts sharing their knowledge on key topics as they make up your course. Now, university degrees are usually longer than TAFE courses, starting at 3 or 4 years for most undergraduate or bachelor's degree, and I'll talk about them a bit more in a moment. And they're often taught on campus, though our online offerings are expanding rapidly. And like TAFE, we do have multiple campuses specialising in different areas of study, but in most cases, teaching would probably take place here at our Bedford Park main campus, which is just south of the city. Now, when it comes to your career aspirations, they'll often be dictated by which mode of study you undertake, or the mode of study you undertake will be dictated by those aspirations. Now, this may be a university degree, a TAFE certificate, or simply on-the-job training. Now, as we see these roll through, you'll notice that the qualifications required will depend on the field. So most professions, like for example paramedics and teaching, require university studies so that you have that high-end knowledge and expertise required, and that qualification is a requirement for that industry. Many hands-on practical jobs may require TAFE qualifications, which develop the relevant technical skills to that job, being hairdressing or electrician as great examples there. And then there are others that rely on a mixture of life experience and specialised training on the job. Police officer and defence force are great examples there. But with those as well, we're now finding that things are getting more competitive, and in some cases in those careers, you're even expected to maybe do some further study also. Although it's not 100% necessary, it could give you that edge. Now, it's really important to think about the level of qualification that you may require when you're looking into and deciding your next steps, as whilst you'll benefit greatly from any further education or training, it's just good to know what you actually need for the field you want to pursue. Now, a bit more about what university is all about. So I'm going to highlight some of the key points I mentioned a bit earlier and elaborate on them. So university is a form of higher education, and it builds on and greatly expands your knowledge after school, TAFE, and other experiences that you've had in your life. Now, at uni, we study what's called degrees, and they're formal qualifications or specialisations in an area of study which you choose. Now, these degrees are often required to enter into certain fields, and in a more general sense, they greatly expand the range of jobs you're eligible to apply for, because many industries now acknowledge the wealth of learning gained through university studies. So it really opens up a lot of doors. You can also do postgraduate degrees, so you do a first degree after school, or if you're coming back to study from whatever you've been doing in your life, you can actually study again afterwards to specialise and hone in a bit further in a specific area, and that allows that additional specialisation if there's a niche area that you want to work in. Most degrees, as I said before, go for 3 years if they're studied full-time. However, combined degrees like education go for 4 years. So I did an education degree with an arts degree to be a PE and English teacher. Those 2 degrees combine over a 4-year period. If you wanted to be a doctor, you have to do clinical sciences and medicine, which goes for 6. And there's a whole range of other combinations. It does depend on the crossover if you want to study from 2 different areas as to how much time your degree will take and how long it will go for. So for example, criminology and science, specialising in forensic and analytical science, there'll be some crossover there, but you'll end up doing maybe 5 years or 4 depending on how the degree is structured. So please ask us if you've got specific questions related to that. And lastly, in most cases, the practical classes, interactive workshops and hands-on application of what you study does need to take place here on campus. So for that reason, most degrees are physically on campus at the moment, but we are expanding our online options, particularly right now, given the recent situation, to allow for more flexible study options. All right, now expanding on the environment, if you do come to Flinders University, to university in general, what's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? It is an adult learning environment. And with that, it's very self-directed. So you're personally responsible for tracking your own progress and handing in your assignments. Unlike at school, if we have any school students in our audience, there's no one chasing you up to get your work done. So you do have to learn to be autonomous and to manage your time as well there. It exposes you to a huge mix of demographics, which is quite exciting because you'll be studying with people of all ages, experiences and backgrounds. I actually took a call yesterday from a potential student who is 74 years old and would like to come back and study criminology, and I encouraged her to come to Flinders because there's a great community here. There's heaps of opportunity to grow and to learn from those around you, as well as the lecturers in your classes, and we've got a great community feel here at Flinders. And for our school students who may be in the audience, there's none of the bullying and positioning you may be used to at school, because it's just a very different adult learning environment. One of the best things about university is that you specifically choose what you want to study. So you have the ability to hone in on an area that you're passionate about and most interested in. The great thing about that is that those in your classes are also passionate and interested in that subject. So you've got this real positive energy about learning and growing in a field, which is quite exciting. You may have some compulsory classes, but it's unlike school where you have to maybe do maths. You wouldn't have to do maths in a degree in psychology. You might do some statistics, but those statistics are specifically related to your course. So it's not the same as at school. You really hone in on the area of your most interest. And you can take electives too. You can choose classes that you're really interested in depending on the makeup of your degree. We also have social clubs and associations, so it's not just about study at university. You can join some clubs. These provide great opportunities to make friends with like-minded people, similar to in your degree, and it's a great place to find your tribe, so to speak. And I'll talk a little bit about the clubs again in a moment. And lastly here, university is exceptionally flexible, and that's probably the biggest difference from school for those who maybe are at school or those who've been through school and can reflect upon it as a style of learning. Our buildings here at Flinders generally have 24-hour access. In some cases, you may need to get a swipe card log so you can go in, but you can get your work done when it suits you. You can study part-time if you're working or if you have family commitments. You don't have to have a full-time load, which is similar to a full-time job. You can make it work for you around your personal circumstances. And you can pick when you have your classes, which is pretty exciting. A lot of young people don't like to get up early these days, so they might pick their classes in the afternoon. For me, that was dreaded. I always like to get in and get it done. But you can fit that around what best suits you, so it's very flexible. Now, to give you an idea of this flexibility, I'm going to show you a timetable here. Now, this is the timetable of Clary, who's one of our student ambassadors who works with us regularly. He's studying occupational therapy, so it's quite a full-on degree with a lot of time at class. But you'll see here from his timetable that he actually has a very rich, rounded life. Now, we'll see here with that darker blue that this is the time that he's actually expected here at university. And if you look at that, for this particular semester of his course, he was only expected to be here physically attending classes for roughly 11 hours. So on the Monday, there would have probably been 2 lectures where he comes in and takes it in and absorbs information and writes some notes. Tuesday, probably a whole heap of practical classes and another lecture on Thursday. Now, for anybody in the audience who's from school, you'll see that's a lot less time than the 30-odd hours that you're expected to be at school. On the other hand, though, there is a lot of time that you need to make for independent study. But the good thing is, as you can see here from Clary's timetable, is that's really flexible. So Clary wisely fits in some study between his classes on Monday, and then it looks like he works best in the evenings. So he's doing some study on Wednesday and Thursday, and has allotted some time on Friday and Sunday. And that can change week to week, but it's good to set up a timetable so you can plan and be prepared. Now, Clary has a lot of flexibility here to be able to work. So he's a part-time job with us here at Flinders as a student ambassador, which is fantastic. I worked when I was at uni casually. I mostly worked weekends, and that allowed me to get my study done during the week, but also spend time with friends. You'll see here that Clary plays sport. So he's got training there on Tuesday, and I think he plays some sort of social sport on a Thursday with games on a Saturday. I know he's a cricketer. So he's fitting a lot in here. It's really flexible. And then you can see that in all those grey areas, there's plenty of opportunities still to catch up with friends, to play some video games, to watch Netflix, all the things that you need to do to manage your health and well-being and have a rich life. So it is very flexible, and you can tailor it to you depending on your course and what you're doing and your lifestyle. So that's one of the great benefits of university. Now, I did mention that there's a lot you could do outside of lecture theatre at university and here at Flinders. Now, you can play sport. Now, we have social sports clubs and competitive sports clubs for all sorts of different sports. There's netball there. There's the Flinders University Crabs, our football team. They're not the best. You may have heard about them in the media, but they have a great time and they're a really good bunch of lads. I hear the girls' team are fantastic. They're a lot better. But there's sports clubs for anybody, and some of them are very social. There's also martial arts clubs and more relaxed sort of sporting casual clubs as well. So it's a great chance to be involved with other people and build your teamwork and collaboration, which works really nicely alongside a degree. We do participate in a competition with other universities called Uni Games. So if you are quite into your sport, you can represent Flinders against other universities, which is quite exciting. We then have broader clubs, so there's a range of special interest clubs. If you're learning a language, you might want to be part of our French club, for example. Flinders Fantastic Beasts, I believe, is our Quidditch club. We do have a philosophy club, so it can be based on study areas, or outdoor club if you like hiking and bushwalking and that sort of thing. There are political clubs as well. There's a sort of tabletop group that play D&D. There's everything. So the really exciting thing is that you can sort of find any group that suits you and start to build those friendship connections that help support you while you're going through your studies. So I would encourage you, when things are up and running again, to go to open day at the start, as sort of in the middle of the year. And if you do commence university with us, orientation week or O week is the best time to come and see all the clubs, because they all come out in their fanfare and you can see what's on offer. You can study abroad with a university degree. There's great opportunities where you can go for 6 months or a year, or maybe even a shorter period, and get some credit for your study while studying similar topics overseas as part of your degree, which is really exciting. And there's scholarship money available to support you in doing that. And some of our team have done that, and some of our ambassadors, and report back that it's a really enriching experience. You could volunteer as well. There is government grants in certain degrees where you can volunteer your time to work overseas. I know in a lot of our science degrees now, there's a new Colombo Plan grant which allows you to go and work and research overseas as part of our efforts to work on conservation. So if you're interested in science, please think about that one. But do reach out to us and we can tell you more. And there's a whole range of other ways that you can engage in the community and the broader industry outside of the lecture theatre here at Flinders and at university in general, with work experience that can be organised through your degree or externally. There are placements. I studied teaching, so I had massive blocks where I'd go out and work in a school and put what I'm learning into practice. The same happens in nursing and other fields as well, and plenty of opportunities for work integrated learning. You've just got to go out and look for it, because that really helps you get the hands-on real world skills to go with what you're learning in the classroom. So it's really exciting, and there's a lot more than just what happens in the classroom. Now, some of you may not be sure on what you want to do, and please hang back and talk to me at the end. But I'm just going to go through some tips now about how you might start to find out more about university and do some research into the career space if you were to start exploring further and trying to unpack what it is you want to do and where you might go with yourself if you go to uni or whatever it may be. Now, if you haven't already, it's a good thing to do is to start at our website. So we do have a website, flinders.edu.au, and it can be a little bit cumbersome to navigate. So I'm just going to talk you through it now, just to show you how you'd explore a degree and find out what's in that degree, so you can make sure that that's the right fit for you, because you can apply these skills across our courses and across different universities once you know how to do it. So we're going to use an example here of our Bachelor of Business in Human Resource Management, and we'll go through how to use our website to explore your options. So first, you want to pick the study area. So from the home page, if you find that study tab at the top, you can hover over it and it'll come up with the different study areas. And we're going to pick business because that's where our course is in. Now, from that page, if you scroll down and click undergraduate, because that's the first course that you would consider at university starting, the first thing you'd start with, we're going to have a look at the courses. And I've looked through and I've thought, yeah, human resource management sounds like something I'd like to do. I like working with people. I want to manage people in big organizations. So I'm going to have a look at that course there. And you can click on that course, which then takes you to the page for the course. Now, you'll have to scroll down a little bit to the part that says, what will you study? And this is the most important part that we always direct students to, because once you know how to do this, then you can really dissect a course and make sure that it has the components, the classes that you're interested in and that you want to study, so that you're getting a degree that really suits you. And you click here on this yellow box called Study Program. If you click on that, it will then show you the course page, and you can review the topics of the course to make sure they're of your interest and they suit what you want to get out of your studies. So we're clicking here on the study program for Human Resources Business, and bam. So our first year topics here is what we do, the first year of our studies. We've got some core topics here and a specialisation topic in organisational behaviour. Now, a topic, you do 4 topics a semester when you're at university. Each topic is worth generally 4.5 units. Don't worry about that for now, but you do 4 of these in half a year, and then the other 4 in the other half of the year. And if you click on those individual topics, you see there the blue writing where it says BISN 1009, that will open up and show you what the assessments are for that course, what the course is actually all about, who teaches the course. Depending on what time in the year, it may show you when the classes will be for that course. So it's a really good way to just really dial in and figure out what's in a course and if that suits you. Because if you really go in well armed and do this research, you can make sure that you're making the right choice when it comes to a course. And you can actually compare different courses at Flinders and different courses at other institutions as well. All right, so getting down to looking at the topics through the study plan, I highly recommend. You can go back to the study area tab at the top. You can click on different study areas and really deep dive and have a bit of an exploration, because that's the best way to determine if it's what you want to do. Now, another great source to research courses is the SATAC website, which is satac.edu.au. Now, SATAC govern all of South Australia tertiary and university admissions. So from here, if you click the undergraduate tab, which will be up the top, you'll get the blue writing that comes up as we see here on the screen, and you can search for courses. Now, their course search feature is a bit more holistic because it has all of the universities in their course feature, and then you'd go to that individual institution like I've just shown you and dig a bit deeper. But you can search a general field of study. So if, for example, you can see there you're interested in architecture, building, designing and planning, you can click on that study area and it'll show you all the different courses offered by the different universities in South Australia. You can then go in, it'll tell you a bit about the course, but then I recommend going to that institution's website to dig a bit further. Go into the Flinders website and learn about what our courses do. Now, if you're not sure what you want to do, and that may be some of you in the audience, and I do encourage you to stay back for a chat at the end so I can give you some individual advice. There are a huge range of great resources available that you can use to explore careers, but also to get an idea of who you are as a person and what may suit you. Now, the first one there is The Guardian. They do have a what job makes you happiest quiz, and it gives comparisons between different things so that you can determine what you like, what you don't like, and it will throw out to you at the end some different jobs that may make you happy as a really good suggestion, so that's a fun one. Job Outlook is a great resource where they have a careers quiz, and it will boil down through questions similarly, comparing types of work and different tasks, where you can then, it'll analyse what sort of person you are and what sort of work style you have, and then it'll give you some suggestions for work. It also allows you to explore the job market here in Australia, which is quite interesting. It can be really valuable when you're trying to make sure that you're going to study something that will see you in a job for many years. Life Launcher, I think, is from the New South Wales government. That's a great one where it really analyses your personality and sort of boils down based on who you are and what you want to do, potentially in ways similar to The Guardian. And the last one there is the Good Universities Guide. Now, the Good Universities Guide does have career search functions. It does also allow you to compare different universities and different courses, which may be useful depending on what you want to do and where you want to go with your studies. Okay, so after all of that, I do encourage you to circle back to the website, and as I've shown you, look at the different study areas, dissect the courses by the topics, just to get a really good idea of what they're about, because there may be topics in a course that you're really not interested in, and that might persuade you to go and do something else. And until you look at the topics, you're only getting a very broad overview from some of the information that's available. So then, yeah, it's a really good way to figure out where you want to be, and then you can get the help. And please call us as well. We're always available on the phone, and I'll share our details in a moment. So yeah, explore those different study areas. That's all for the content we're going through today. I would love to hang around and chat with anybody who would like some more personalised information, and we'll get to that in a moment, so please do hang around. I do encourage you, however, to visit our website again and look at the other webinars that are coming up. We do have some great ones this week. Tomorrow we're going to have What Are Employers Looking For, which will really sort of expose what industries are saying and where the jobs are going to be, and how you'll be employable for the years to come, which is a good one to tune into. We have a Skills for Success and University webinar on Friday, which ties nicely with this one. And then we have a range of study area webinars where students are coming in with our staff to talk about different degrees, and creative arts, it will be up on Monday. So please do have another look at the webinar schedule and see what's available, as I'm sure there's something there that hopefully will be of interest to you. We are recording these too, and we will be putting them up on YouTube for further viewing afterwards. Now, I did mention it's really easy to contact us. We do have our phone number there, and you want to pick number 1 for prospective students, and that'll come through to our team, and we'll do our best to answer any queries you have. And if we can't answer them, we'll direct you onto the right person. We can make phone appointments at the moment, and hopefully soon we'll be able to return to physical appointments. We do have a chat service that is going up live this Thursday, I believe, or you could email us if that's your best form of communication. I do want to mention, though, that we are collecting feedback for these webinars. I hope it was engaging today, and I hope it answered some of your questions. If you don't mind, I will pop it in the chat in a moment. There is a link there for our feedback, and if you could provide any feedback, it'd be fantastic so we can improve these for our future audiences. But yeah, in general, thank you very much for listening to the webinar today, guys. I hope it was engaging. I'm going to pop this link in the chat, and I'm going to hang around if anybody has any further questions.